First story. I caught my husband cheating with his male friend, but let it go because the friend has cancer and will die anyway. Now I caught him with a female. He lied, manipulated, gaslighted, and blamed me for his cheating. I've had enough. I'm filing for divorce, taking my kids and everything he has as alimony, and leaving. Picture transcript of the letter. Dear Mrs. Redacted, I am writing this letter to inform you that your husband Redacted has been having an affair with a neighbor of yours in Redacted by the name of Redacted. They have been sleeping together and having an affair for over 2 years. They meet at the pool area and the dog park in your community. They often go away on weekends together, camping or to various hotel rooms. I felt like you should know what is going on and why Redacted has gone so much. I have also seen him drop off your dogs at her house. No woman should have to find out about an affair this way. I am sorry. I just thought you should know. Post. Throwaway, obviously. I've been married for almost 35 years, yes, to the same person. And while it hasn't been perfect, it's been all right. Kids, dogs, white fence, etc. I've got those. Our personal lives have suffered somewhat. I went from being a virgin on my wedding night to stepping out of my comfort zones to please him sexually mea trios. And on Saturday, it will be 6 years since we've been intimate at all. For the longest time, I thought he was having an emotional affair with his male friend, whom he had fished with, but had become ill with cancer, because he would drop everything and anything for him, including plans we had for him. Plus, there were a few texts that, while not sexual, were more than friendship. But for some reason, while I was hurt, I was not threatened. I know he is extremely ill. There is no physical relationship going on. His time is short. And once this was out of his system, he would be back to his normal self and me as his wife. I'm really sorry if my words sound crude. That's not how I want them to sound. But once he passed, my husband would be back with me. So I was gone this past week, dog sitting or house sitting for my sister, and got home last night to check the mail. There was a blank envelope with everything typed, and inside was a short note, see picture above. I know who the female is. It's one of his friends. I'm completely devastated. To me, a woman is harder to compete with. What does she have or do that I don't? I decided to get healthy and lost weight. I've lost over 130 pounds. I don't hear anything from him. I went to the doctor last week, dressed nicely, and he told me I was embarrassing him because his wife was running around town looking like a W, with her tits hanging out. I had a slight off-the-shoulder white illet with dark jeans. Since finding this out, I've become obsessed with finding evidence. I stalk her Facebook, their call logs. He calls her an average of 68 times a day with calls lasting 5-15 minutes. I'll drive by her house. I'll type and delete her name, phone number, and address. I'll want to confront both of them, blame her, blame him. I wonder what she has I don't. How I can fix this? Do I want to fix it? Do he? What do I do? Where do I go? How? I've cried for 2 days now. I can't stand to look at him, and I'm afraid to talk to him. Additional information from the OP. OP here. I can't edit my post. Part of the reason for the dead bedroom was due to medication. We were both on messed with both our libido. Between blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and medication, it messes with your body. I spoke with my doctor, got mine changed up, got the drive back, and he didn't. There wasn't much that could change in terms of his medications, but it's obvious I don't do it for him. Relevant comments. OP responds to multiple questions on the length of her marriage and children. OP 100% real. I'm extremely upset, and I apologize if my grammar isn't up to snuff. I haven't had much sleep these past couple days. Married at 19, she will be 54 this year. First kid at 20. Then following kids 1993, 1998, 24. And yes, this was done on my phone. OP on whether the letter she received was real. OP, this is real. I am real. My life, kids, grandchildren, and animals are all real. Our lack of libido is real. The medical issues that caused it are real. For example, her picture, phone number, his call log, her address, and a photo of her house and car, all saved in a file on my phone, are completely real. OP on her and her husband's ethnicities. OP white woman, married to an Asian man. Update and comments. So after a few days of crying and feeling miserable, I became obsessed with finding more information. Mind you, this all came to light last Sunday, and before that, I was walking around in an ignorant state of not knowing. So I started scanning phone logs, daily phone calls to, and from her 6 to 7+ times a day, 20-40 minutes each. I had a typo in my first post. I went through his office, nightstand, etc. I don't know exactly what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. I would drive by her house when he would leave. In other words, I was going crazy. And by Wednesday, I was broke. I was tired of him acting like it was a normal day and that there was nothing going on. I could not take it anymore, and I first wanted to talk to her. So I took off in my car and drove to the dog park. Empty. So I drove to her house, started pounding on her security door, and rang her doorbell. She has a ring, telling her to open her effing door. And if you're woman enough to FK a married man, you should be woman enough to talk to his wife. This went on for maybe 10 minutes or so. She didn't answer. I texted my husband that we needed to talk, and that I know. My sister is on the phone with me, trying to calm me down and get me to leave her place before the police are called. In the 3 minutes, yes, he picked someone in our community. It took me to get home. Not only had she called him, she also sent him the video. So I confronted him somewhat. It was more like he gaslit me the entire time. He talked down. Get your arse in the house. I can't believe you did something so effing stupid, etc. Turned it around on me. You are always sitting on the couch, unless your sister invites you out. And didn't deny he was with her. It's none of your business. When I asked if he would stop seeing her, he said he would not give her up. She is a good friend of his. And the biggest smack in my face, he wants me to apologize to her for embarrassing her in her neighborhood. And I guess she is talking about filing a restraining order against me. So Thursday and Friday, I finished my pity party. And Saturday, I started doing things I never thought I would have to do on my 35th anniversary. I reached out to divorce attorneys. They were closed, but I filled out the forms for consultations. I also started a resume and applied for jobs. But after not working for 20 plus years, what kind of work am I going to be qualified for? I stayed with my sisters this weekend. I needed the change of scenery. Between his attitude, the not happening anniversary, and the funky feeling, I needed a break. Update 2 in comments. So it's been about a month since I found out about his affair. It still stinks. And I'd like to say I've totally gotten over him. But one doesn't turn off feelings like a light switch. At least I don't. And sometimes I think, maybe we can fix this. But then he does something all a-hole again. And I'm back on track with my plans and goals. So I've set goals for myself and have been working towards them. My first one is to get a job. I was a housewife for 99% of my marriage. Not only did I get one, I found 2 that I can work on at the same time. I opened a secret account, not in my name, and am stashing all my extra money in it. He controls all the house money tightly, so I have to get creative. He knows about one job, not the other one. I've gone back to school to get my degree, geared towards what I'm doing. So far, it's going well. I'm remaining positive and pushing forward, even when he gets negative towards me. You're just going to quit. You will flunk out, etc. I am saving for a small place, hopefully a little ado or an apartment, that will allow my little dogs. Once the apartment is lined up, then I will file for divorce. I need to make sure I have a safe place to go, because he will become nasty once served. So far, things are calm here. I don't ask about her, although they speak daily, and I'm sure they are hanging out. In our community, it's like he is trying to rub my nose in it. The thing is, I'm not letting him know or see that it's bothering me at all, which in turn is bugging the crap out of him. So he threatened to take my phone away. Okay, fine, I went and bought a cheap burner phone, just in case he does. So now, he has switched to being nice. He has bought parts for my car, paid the labor, bought my scrubs and equipment I need for work and school, asked for a list, and bought it. There are times when he's nice. I think there might be hope for us, but as long as she is in the picture, nope. Then he turns back into the arse again with empty threats, knocking down my confidence, and I'm back to counting months until I can move. Update 3. I'm still on my phone, and just worked an overnight shift, so I'm tired. So we are in the month of June, and quite a bit has transpired, some good, some not. I finally broke down and told my kids that those were extremely difficult calls to make, and I told them everything. I took responsibility for my part and admitted I could have done things better. My kids, all that, while not perfect, I did my best with what I had, and that didn't excuse his cheating. My eldest wanted to come out and go a few rounds with his dad and confront the other woman, but I told him it wasn't worth it. My second son is my thinker. He didn't say much, but he is deep in thought, as you can tell. Third son said it's about time. With the way he talked to you and treated you, I hope you're thinking about leaving. I was honestly on the fence. He would flip-flop between wanting to work on us and fixing us with his actions. And my past 2 weeks have been the worst. So since he has been using my son's car, my son put a tracking device in his car. Yes, I have access to it. No, he does not know about it. He would tell me he was going to one place and go straight to the other woman's house. And if I asked where he was, he would lie to my face. I just kept notes on it until I couldn't anymore. Father's Day. I had worked the night before, got off work at 8 am, texted him what he had wanted for dinner that night, stopped at the store, bought everything, came home, got it started, and tried to take a nap. Mind you, he did nothing whatsoever on Mother's Day. He wakes me up to borrow $40 to go to a sporting goods store. So I said fine. Dinner's in an hour and a half. Please don't be late. 2 hours later. Not back. I checked the tracking. He went straight to her house and had not moved. So I go do a drive-by. His car is parked in the garage. She is parked outside. So I come back home. I'm more upset for my son. I text him. You need to come home. We need to talk. I know you're not at the sports store. Nothing. After 30 minutes, his car still had not moved. So I called her. And of course she didn't answer. So I leave a voicemail. I know my husband is at your house. You win, and I'm done. It's obvious he wants to be with you. I'm tired of the lies. His bull. He doesn't want someone who has loved and fought for him for 35 years. I'm done. Come get his dog and his stuff. You've won. And I hung up. 10 minutes later, he comes in with a Walmart bag and says he went to Walmart. Then a friend makes tacos for him. I dished up servings for my son and me, then threw the rest of the meal in the trash. He gives me attitude because she feels threatened now because I called her. Now she has to change her number. And in her line of work, she will lose clients. I didn't threaten her. I told him if he wasn't happy here, he knew where the door was and was welcome to use it. He was quiet all week, but was a jerk as well. And his only concern was seeing that woman. I had melanoma removed. I needed a driver, so he took me. When I got in the car, not one word. No, how are you? How did it go? Are you okay? Nope. All he said was, I'm hungry. And it was the 30th anniversary of losing my sister to melanoma, so I was extra sensitive. Little things were just adding up. He was forgetting things that I needed or had asked for. I was at the bottom of his list. On our son's birthday, he couldn't even wait for him to blow out the candles before he went to her house. So this was last Sunday. He was going through the kitchen cabinets, pulling some soup out, and said he was going to take it to this couple who have been stranded down the road for a couple weeks in a broken down RV. So I gather a few more items and whatnot, and he leaves, but leaves the bag of stuff on the counter. I checked, and yep, he went right to her house. This was at my last bit of energy for this marriage. So I text him again. I don't understand why you need to lie. There is no dog park, hiking trail, fishing spot, sporting goods store, broken down RV, nor Walmart on Bunker Hill. Why not be honest and tell me you're going to her house? It's obvious, regardless of what you're saying, that you don't want to work on our marriage. You have and are choosing her over your family. And sent it. And I tried to call him. Didn't answer. So I texted that I didn't think he would answer. Not even 5 minutes later, he comes screeching in the driveway, slamming in the house, screaming, "What the F is wrong with you? You effing, mother effing B." I'm sure if I was in the same room as him, he would have hit me. I told him I'm tired of him lying to me. Just tell me he's going to the W's house. He's been going this entire time, and yet he still lies about it. And doesn't he think if I'm questioning where he is, I know? He called me a few different names and ignored me the rest of the night. I'm sure my neighbors loved it. I went yesterday, Monday, to file for divorce and got *T news. Because he is a 1099 employee, hasn't technically worked in almost 2 years, although my bills are paid. Because I'm not on his bank accounts, I never have been. I've always had to ask for money from him. And because he stopped me from doing his taxes 3 years ago, because they were too complicated for you. If I were to file for divorce right now and ask for alimony, he could immediately file to lower it, and the judge could agree with him. My lawyer suggested waiting 3 months to file, as he is now working again, started this week, and submits paper bids, so I'm to collect as much evidence as I can in the meantime. He was impressed with as much as I had so far. So, I'm planning and playing it cool until September. Relevant comments. Embarrassed_Sky3 188. I know this hurts now, but you will be better off without a parasite sucking the life out of you. I don't know anything about this, but I think you should get a second opinion from a different lawyer. 1099s are still proof of income. It feels like they could subpoena those and his full tax records, which he may not have filed at all. OP. He owns his own business, and the company he subcontracts with sends him a 1099. I haven't seen a tax return in 3 years, as we filed separately. I try to look when he isn't home, but his office is a mess. I'm going to keep looking, though, because there has to be something. OP on why she needs his alimony. Her children are all grown, and she works now. OP. I just started back to work 2 months ago. I spent most of our marriage as a housewife, taking care of him and our kids. My youngest son is 20, but has special needs and is mentally about 12. Earlier, when I learned about this affair, I would have done anything to get him back. Now? No. I don't want him back. I deserve better. OP on securing all of her legal documents. OP. All those documents have since been removed to a safe location, back in April. OP explains why she is waiting until September to make a move on the alimony. OP. I've lasted this long, and honestly, if I were to walk away now, I couldn't afford to survive in a decent place with my son, even with my job. And after all I've done, including taking care of his mom, which I did willingly, and helping in his business, running the home, etc., I deserve it. I just want what is fair to get a safe place for my son. According to the lawyer, it could mean the difference between $500 a month and $4,000 a month. Ballpark figures here, but it was a substantial difference. In the comments section of Arbist of Reddit updates, WRX Hokie. Husband is a POS, but reading the first couple updates, they didn't have as X for 6 years. She was very overweight, was a housewife, and apparently a little off mentally. I'm not surprised this marriage died. Neither were trying anymore. OP. Medical and medication issues started the lack of SX issues. I had my medication adjusted, but he never did and blamed it on his medical problems. Yes, I was overweight, but honestly, we had SX a lot more when I was heavier than when I was not. Panic 686. Something feels off about this story. I think the timeline of her finding out in March and having 2 jobs and being in school in April feels wrong. What schooling starts randomly in April? OP. I started schooling online, and it's self-guided, so while working overnight shifts, I'm able to study. Second story. OP caught his wife having an affair, and they both humiliated OP for being sterile. So, OP took revenge by having SX with the affair partner's wife before divorcing his own. Now, the delusional wife has exposed herself, calling him not a man and admitting she cheated on him in their house on every piece of furniture to gaslight him, not realizing OP was going to use them as evidence. We got married almost 3 years ago. She started having an affair with her coworker a year ago. I got to know that because I saw his car outside my house one day. I had my suspicions. I hired a PI and gathered evidence that she was having an affair with him. I was angry. Then I got a call from the coworker's wife saying that she had learned about the affair. She only had texts they used to send, but I have all the receipts for their hangouts. Together, we decided to confront them. We used to meet up a lot. She told me she had suspected his affair since her pregnancy. They have 3 children together. One day, we had the idea that we should sleep with each other as revenge. We did, and I'm not going to lie, it felt good. We have been meeting and having SX for a while. She is an amazing woman. I would say she is better at some things in bed than my wife. Mostly, I am very angry towards my wife. Because in some of her texts with her affair partner, she and affair partner made fun of affair partner's wife, saying things like she has gained weight, her vagina was destroyed, and other disgusting stuff. I cannot believe that she would say something like this while being a woman. She even made fun of my fertility issues, saying that I am not a man because the chances of me having kids are very low. I do not feel bad about my affair. I like the SX life I had with affair partner's wife way more than my wife. She hardly ever gives me orals, but expects me to give her one. At least affair partner's wife was more enthusiastic about it, and it was the best oral I ever had. Affair partner's wife wants to tell his husband. I guess we are both tired of carrying out the revenge affair. We both got carried away. We were both so driven by revenge that we got addicted to it. I will confront my wife soon. I already have the divorce papers ready. Since we do not have a joint account or marital assets, it will be easy for us. Affair partner's wife might have some problems because they have kids, but she has the power to take him to the cleaners. I know I sound like an awful person, but I am already checked out of my marriage. In the comments, careless_welder_1448. I'm happy you are happy. Don't get married to affair partner's wife. That way, she can keep getting alimony. I hope you guys live happily together. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. OP. I am not really sure if I want to pursue anything romantic with her now. His ex was great over the top, but we only hooked up for 2 months. If she is willing to pursue a relationship, then I would be okay with it. But my lawyer advised me and her to keep it quiet and not to make any further moves. Tailbone77. When all the dust settles, continue with the OBS. Sometimes you have to remove the pause people from your life to find a gem. Make sure and twist the knife deep when your ex finds out. Lol. She will know who's really infertile. OP. Well, I will. She is a beast in bed. After the first time, I wondered if her husband was bad at sex, or just an idiot to think my wife was better in bed. Updates. I totally forgot about this Reddit account. Well, I do have an update, like most of you requested. I served her divorce papers on July 16th. I delayed because I needed to get something in order. So, I served her divorce papers at her work. When she came home, I packed up her things and told her to go and stay with her dad. She did what typical cheaters do. She begged, apologized, and blamed me for her affair. I was prepared for all of that. She was stubborn and told me she would not leave and would fix our marriage. I reminded her that the house belongs to my parents. Their name is on the house. If she doesn't leave, I can call them and have her evicted. I had already called her sister. I thought she would take her away from me, but her sister blamed me instead. I am not a good husband if I give up my marriage that easily. This is where I became a bit petty and told her. This is very hypocritical coming from a woman who left her husband for his cousin. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She slapped me. I warned her that this was their last chance, or else I would call the police on her for assaulting me. After she left, the messages didn't stop. I didn't block her because I wanted to screenshot most of it. She said she was sorry, begging me to take her back. She mocked me and said she never enjoyed any love making that we did, and she and her affair partner had sex on every piece of furniture in our house. I don't know how much of it is true, but I will be replacing my furniture regardless. I wanted to tell her the OBS, and I defiled her car by having sex on it. But I didn't. The last time I spoke to her, she apologized to me. This time, the apology seemed sincere. She told me she got carried away. Lately, she has been thinking about having kids. As I mentioned in my previous post, I cannot have children. She knew that and told me she wanted to be childless. But now that she is in her mid-30s, she has been really wanting to become a mom, and the fact that I could not give it to her angered her, and she cheated just to cope with it. She told me she was wrong, and that I was the best partner and husband anyone could ever have, but she just wanted more. I asked her, why didn't she just say so? We could have adopted or gone to a sperm bank. I asked her if she was pregnant. I don't know, but it looked like she was. She murmured yes. I knew this wasn't my baby. All hopes for reconciliation are out the window now. Imagine if I never discovered the affair. She would have passed this pregnancy as a miracle baby. I just congratulated her and said I hope she has a wonderful baby. I want this divorce ASAP. As for affair partner's wife, she also served her husband, taking him to the cleaners. She is not backing down. I only talked to her a couple of times. She ranted so much that she wasted her best years and youth on a disgusting man. She complained that she left her modeling career just to be with them and whatnot. I think she still looks hot. We didn't have any contact for a while. There was one time she texted me with a sleazy picture, asking me to come over. But I refused. She did apologize after that. We are not planning on dating anytime soon. Not unless all the divorce proceedings are over. But I do miss her a lot. Also, I got a cat. My SDB ex-wife hated cats. Now my house will be a cat kingdom. Comments. Natattack89. Good for you, OP. Anyone who hates cats is a walking red flag, IMO. I hope you and the other victims of this disaster can move on in peace, together, or with other people. OP. I wouldn't call it a red flag, per se. I do not care for dogs. My SDBX is the same. She doesn't like cats. Though she is fond of rabbits. Late of it. Whose kid is it? The affair partner or someone else's? OP. I don't know. It is affair partners, as far as I know. But I can't say for sure how many affairs she had. Third story. The entitled bride refuses to give me the wedding location, and is now having a meltdown after I ditched the wedding. I am a wedding photographer, and I have currently come across my first wedding that I am considering canceling. I booked the wedding several months ago, in February, and we talked on the phone once then. They said that they had a general area that they wanted to film in, but not an exact location. I said that would be fine if they kept me up to date. They also never gave me an exact time. I messaged them throughout the coming months and never got replies or updates. I contacted them again on the 10th of June. The wedding is on the 30th, and still no reply. So, I contacted another vendor they are working with. According to that vendor, They have completely changed plans, moving the wedding to a location 3 hours away at 5 am, and with a 2-mile hike to the location. I have had no confirmation from the wedding party. The other vendor also said that the plans were not firm and subject to change. I was never able to get them to sign a contract stating the deliverables or the price, but they did pay me in advance. Would I be overreacting to cancel the wedding plans at the last minute? The wedding is 5 days away. I didn't want to cancel, but now I feel I have no choice. What if I drive 3 hours to find that they changed locations yet again? I would at least partially refund them, if not fully refund them. But any advice? Comments? Dinaflis. Given my multiple attempts to contact you, and the fact that I still have not received a location or any of the other information, I would need to lock down my travel arrangements, and we are less than a week out. I am forced to treat this as a de facto cancellation. You will be given a refund of X dollars, the original payment minus the deposit. You have my sincere best wishes on your future plans, and if you are still getting married, congratulations. Under no circumstances should you consider going to a venue that you were told about by a third party. Nor should you give them a full refund since they prevented you from making alternative plans. Even if they were to reach out now, I would strongly discourage you from photographing this wedding. Without a clear contract in place to set expectations and ensure you are on the same page, there's a high likelihood that they will blame any and all problems on you, even those resulting from their lack of communication or poor planning. And even if they don't do that, can you imagine continuing to deal with their flakiness when trying to deliver the finalized pictures? OP. I think this is what I will do. Thank you for the detailed response. I like that you mentioned travel arrangements as well, because on our initial phone call, they mentioned something about a ferry ride through the park. They haven't provided any more detail on that either, like, should I have bought myself a ticket? Would they provide one for me? Is it still even happening? Etc. The other vendor gave me a very sketchy timeline of events, stating that the 2-mile hike was time-stamped for 10 minutes. So I'm sure you're right, that if we didn't get up the hike on time, they would blame it all on me. Mebiter87. I am extremely invested now, and I'd love to hear any updates about this situation. It's super weird, TBH, and I'm so curious about this dumpster fire. I'd definitely cancel, though, and always get a contract signed to cover yourself in the future. OP. I was way too forgiving about the contract thing. I sent it to them several times and just figured they were busy with other wedding plans. So that's why I put off canceling for so long. I was just way too accommodating. I posted 2 updates, BTW. Update. A few hours later. Update. I just sent the bride a text. She never gave me her email and a refund through Venmo. I'm sad to see the money go, but relieved to not be part of this fiasco anymore. Here's the message I sent the bride. Hi bride, given my multiple attempts to contact you, and the fact that I have not received crucial information about your wedding, including the exact location, time, and schedule, and we are less than a week out from your wedding date, I unfortunately have to treat this as a de facto cancellation. I have been in contact with your photographer, and the information that they have provided me about the wedding does not match what we discussed over the phone. I have contacted you several times, asking for more detail, and I have received no response. With the lack of information and communication, I cannot safely perform my job. I cannot be sure that the information that I have is accurate, so I can no longer attend. I'll be sending you a full refund since this cancellation is so last minute, and I wish you the best. Thanks. OP. Thanks to everyone for the advice. If she ever replies to me, I'll post another update. Update 2. 1 hour later. She immediately called me funny since she's never replied this quickly before, and left me a voicemail apologizing and begging for me to reconsider. She said she still hasn't finalized the location, but is asking her other vendor tonight. I guess the other vendor is also the wedding planner and has planned everything sort of. They offered me more money and a call to explain everything over the phone. They also said they didn't respond to my messages because they'd been out of the country. So, I gave them a detailed list of everything I would need if I were to reconsider them as a client, and said that if we verbally agreed, they would have to sign a contract or I would not show up. I also want them to accommodate me for travel fees. So, if they call me back by 5 p.m. today with all of the details I asked for and an increased payment plan, I'm going to reconsider taking the job. I still want the money and the experience, so if they can accommodate me, I'll do what I can. Comments. StevieBozo124. So over in the home improvement section, they always talk about something called the FU price. It's basically when a contractor charges an insane price because they don't want the job. I suggest you charge an FU price for this one. OP, I will definitely be doing this. Update 3. 1 day later. Update 3. They doubled the amount and paid for a hotel near the venue. I'm morbidly curious to see how this whole thing turns out, so I'm going. I sent them a contract that says if I can't find them out there, I'm leaving and keeping the payment. I also told them that if they don't sign the contract by the day before the wedding, I'm not going, and I'm not giving back any of the money which they have already given me. The wedding is taking place by a lake near the hiking trail. They insist we won't be hiking the full 45-minute trail. I also worked that into the contract. If they make me hike more than 20 minutes with all my stuff, I'm stopping right there. There's going to be a ferry ride across the lake after the ceremony. I also looked into their other photographer wedding planner, and they've been plagiarizing all of the work on their website. The photos they show are all Squarespace default photos and photos from other copyright-free websites. So I won't be surprised if they're being completely scammed, and I get to leave anyway. So anyway, I think my butt is covered now. I'll give updates after the wedding. Comments. Nyakaris. This is wild. I look forward to your update. Indigo au naturel. Wow. I can't wait to hear how this turns out. Final update. 5 days later. Final hopefully update. As a gesture of goodwill, they booked me a hotel. When I looked up directions to the hotel, it was in a town 4 hours away from the venue. They clearly had no idea where anything was in relation to their venue. So obviously, I didn't stay there. All the hotels that were near their venue were booked. So I ended up driving out to the venue at 2 a.m. to get to the wedding at 5. I was the first person there. The sun was already rising, BTW. Actually, the sun rises around 3:45 and they wanted a sunrise wedding. But they didn't actually look up what time the sun rises here and just assumed 5. The wedding party arrived at 5:30. We couldn't do anything until the wedding planner and photographer arrived, because no one knew where the actual ceremony was supposed to take place. The planner arrived at 5:45. The ceremony was actually really beautiful. It's too bad the planner stood in front of my tripod the entire time. I got footage on my handheld, but it would have been nice to have usable tripod footage. The planner also turned off the mic I had placed to capture the vows. I don't know why she thought she could touch my stuff without permission, but that was super cool. Also, weird thing, she kept taking pictures of her feet, like constantly. I'd be working, and she'd be taking another foot picture. I'd man. The bride and groom asked me to follow them to another location for a ferry ride. They told me it would be a 10-minute drive. It was an hour-long drive. I was well within my rights to quit now that I had my contract. But I was feeling nice and figured that the more time I spent driving, the less time I spent actually spending with these people. We arrive at the ferry, which was actually just a little tour boat, and the wedding party is astonished to find that they were supposed to make a reservation. Their wedding planner had told them not to worry about it, but the boat needed to be reserved weeks in advance. So, we ended up going on a hike in the area. It started pouring rain and flooding the trail, but the bride and groom kept their wedding clothes on, even through all the mud and water. There was a waterfall at the end of the trail that they tried to climb up. I didn't want to die, so I declined to climb the slippery rocks next to the cliff with tumbling rapids. I turned around and drove the 3-4 hours home and crashed for about 24 hours. Hopefully, they got home safely too. Sorry for not updating sooner. I was horribly exhausted. The wedding was not as bad as I thought, but if they hadn't paid me more, I wouldn't have gone. The couple was really nice, just horrible communicators with bad judgment in trusting this photographer and wedding planner. The planner was the true villain, IMO. Eva Hasu. Thank you so much for all the updates. Poor bride. I do not envy her at all. And poor you with this horror of communication. Michael 14593. It sounds like the wedding planner has never planned a wedding before. I don't know if the wedding planner didn't know how to plan a wedding, or if the couple couldn't make up their minds on a venue. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.